Chapter 3. Present day, late August. Welcome freshmen to the University of Southern California. The deep red words were sprawled across the bright gold banner that hung on the dormitory entrance. My breath came slightly faster as I pulled my car up next to my dad's truck and put it in park. My mom was terrified for me to bring my car to the city since I only ever drove around our small town. But there was no way I could have come without it. Since getting my car on my 17th birthday, I had become very dependent on it. It was my guaranteed escape route. Anytime I was too awkward or anxious somewhere, I always knew I could hop in my car, crank the stereo, and drive away from my problems. I took a deep stabilizing breath, then unbuckled my seatbelt and climbed out to meet my family. Mom, Dad, and Oliver were all here to help me move in. Dad popped my trunk as my mom ran off to the orientation table to grab my move-in package. As we waited for her to come back, I looked around at the other families moving in their kids. The students' dorms were all clustered together in the USC Village, which also had a gym, restaurants, and even a Trader Joe's. My dad stared a little too long at all the young men milling around. My floor was all freshman girls, but the dorm buildings were co-ed. I readjusted my backwards Chargers hat and started to organize my boxes. The slightly sticky feeling under my white t-shirt and jean shorts itched my skin. I was desperate to get inside quickly so I could unpack and get settled. Today was Saturday, so I only had one full day before school started to obsessively check my textbooks and supplies to ensure that I was really ready. My mom scurried back with all my paperwork and a shopping cart to fill with my stuff. All of my Tetris training had clearly been for this moment because I was able to get everything in the cart in one go. Well, plus stacking Dad and Oliver's arms full. My move-in package said I was in room 310, which I would share with one other roommate. Oh God, my roommate? The email I received a month ago said her name is Madeline Probst. I had been too afraid to stalk her on social media, but I knew that she was 18 too and majored in political science. Whatever that actually meant. My family and I stuffed into the elevator and I hit the third floor button while I tried to calm my nerves. I didn't really want to meet my roommate for the first time as my family watched us. I knew they were worried about how I would do on my own, and I didn't need them to worry more if I didn't click with Madeline. The elevator door dinged open and I followed the signs left down the hall towards my room. I found the door with a large gold 310 on it and slowly opened it. Looking around, it seemed like maybe Madeline wasn't here yet. When you first walked in the dorm, there was a shared living area to the right with a small kitchen and an attached living room. The furniture was generic and stiff but still pretty nice. To the left was a closed door with a large A on it, and down the hall was a small bathroom and another room with a large B. My paperwork said I was in room A, so I went to that door and peeked inside. It was a small room, just enough space for a twin bed against the wall, a closet, and a desk sitting in front of the window. "Oh, baby, this is great," my mom exclaimed as she followed me inside. "We can put all your photos on this wall here and even hang your white lights behind the bed." "Well, son, I think it's safe to say we aren't needed here anymore," my dad said from the doorway as he and Oliver placed my stuff inside the room. "That's fine. Archer just texted me that he's on two-a-days right now, but he'll be done soon and he is meeting his parents. We can go meet them." With that, Oliver and my dad kissed my head and headed back out to the truck, leaving my mom and I to it. We spent the rest of the afternoon unpacking and setting up my dorm. As much as I loved the men in my life, I was glad I got to spend this time alone with my mom. Just as I had finished sticking the last picture to my gallery wall, I turned around to see her sitting on my bed looking forlorn. "Mom?" I started to ask her what was wrong, but my voice stirred something in her. As we made eye contact, I saw the tears glazing her eyes and I froze. What had happened? "Lottie, you're going to be okay, right?" Her voice was thick with all of the emotion she tried to hold back. It was a sting right to the heart to see my mom this worried. I guess I had always been the baby of the family. But it was never a role I minded much. It was always easier to let my family and friends coddle me a bit. It allowed me to avoid situations where I could get anxious or uncomfortable. As I looked at my mom's deep stressed lines, I regretted ever letting her believe I couldn't take care of myself. Now she would be 4 hours away worried about my well-being. "Mom, I promise I'm going to be fine. Honestly, I think this will be good for me. I can become a bit more independent and learn to do things on my own." She gave me a weak smile. "I know, baby. I just worry about you. You are such a sweet girl, but I don't want you getting wrapped up into trouble that you can't handle. I moved across the room to sit down next to her on the bed. My cheek rested against her shoulder as her hand went to my hair in a comforting manner. I know this is a big change for all of us. Heck, I can't pretend I'm not a little scared. But I promise I will be okay. I'm still me and I don't plan on going all crazy or anything. And if I need anything I will call you straight away. But we will be 4 hours away. What if you need something right then? What if your car breaks down on the freeway and... Mom. I cut her off before she could get too carried away. Look, if I really am in trouble I will figure it out. Plus I'm not necessarily alone. I might be able to make friends with my roommate. And if I really needed help, well, I guess I could call Archer? I internally cringed. Why on earth did I say that? I would never call him for help. Really? A light flickered in my mom's eyes. Do you promise? Promise to call Archer if you really need help? Taking a deep breath, I did the only thing I could. I crossed my fingers behind my back and said, Yes, Mom, I promise I'll call Archer. Thankfully, I was safe from any more lying when my mom's phone went off. I listened to the one-sided conversation as she agreed to some plans and let them know we were on our way. I looked at her expectantly when she hung up so she could fill me in. That was your brother. They met up with the Johnsons and decided we could have a picnic for dinner. They are already there so they don't feel like doing anything too formal. I thoroughly agreed with the sentiment as I still hadn't managed to shower, and I did not think wearing cutoffs was appropriate for most restaurants. At least not if my father was present. I spritzed my chest with perfume and we left to walk to everyone. They had settled at a field about a 10-minute walk from my dorm. I could already tell I'd be using this path often because it was beautiful. The pathways were lined with bright flowers, and the well-manicured grass stretched across the field where students were playing pickup games. As we approached, Mrs. Johnson and Annie were setting up a large blanket for us to sit on. A bit farther away, Oliver, Archer, Dad, and Mr. Johnson stood and were having a bit of a tense conversation. I planned on leaving them alone, but my dad caught my eye and called me over. As I saddled up next to him, I could see Mr. Johnson giving his son a pointed look. But Archer glared off into the distance, ignoring everyone. There's my baby girl. My dad shouted a little too loudly as he wrapped me in a hug and kissed my forehead. How did the dorm setup go? Great, actually, I replied softly. I haven't met my roommate yet, but Mom and I got everything done. I was about to excuse myself to go help my mom when arms grabbed me and pulled me back to trap me in a hug. I immediately knew it was Oliver. God. I still can't believe baby Lottie is at college. Way to make me look like even more of a loser, sis. Turning my head to mock glare at my brother, I couldn't help but giggle. His face was a mask of fake despair. Excuse yourself, I sassed back. I am not a baby and you don't need my help looking like a loser. I immediately regretted my words when a mischievous grin played on Oliver's face. Suddenly, I was thrown up and over his shoulder as he ran away from the group. Alright, Arch, let's play pass. Only this time Lottie's the ball. Oliver, no. Put me down. I shrieked as he bounced around, acting like he was about to drop me. Ollie, don't break your sister. My mom called over lazily, but she was making no serious attempt to control her son. Thanks, Mom. I fought back by using all of my strength to whack Oliver in the back. I really hoped that I was successfully unleashing my inner Hulk because being upside down was making me dizzy. Obviously, I had, because Oliver set me back down on my feet with a loud laugh. All of the blood rushed from my head the second he let me go and I stumbled backwards. My head slammed into a very hard wall, but before I could topple forward, 2 warm hands grabbed my waist to steady me. I brought my hand up to my forehead and took a breath to settle my rattled brain. Once I could think clearly, I realized that there was only one person who had been close enough to catch me. Archer. I jumped away quickly to put distance between us and looked back to see him staring at me with a furrowed brow. What was his problem? It's not like I fell into him on purpose. But of course, he probably assumed it was some ploy to get his attention. I straightened my shirt while I turned away from him and sent a final glare at Oliver. Then I walked back in the direction of the other ladies. I was almost back to my mom when Oliver yelled, "Lottie, heads." I turned in time to see a football flying in the air towards me. I stumbled back just in time to have it whiz past my face. Unfortunately, my heel clipped a hole in the grass, and I fell backward, landing straight on my bum. A tall boy with floppy blonde hair ran towards me with a worried frown sketched across his face. "Holy shit. Are you okay there, Smalls?" he asked as he caught up to me. Concern shadowed his face as his eyes dropped down my body and back up. "Sorry, the ball got away from us." "Oh, I'm fine, thanks," I said quietly as I let him grab my hand and pull me back to my feet. "I'm Emmett, by the way," he said with an easy grin as he kept my hand hostage to give it a firm shake. I tried to keep the nerves out of my voice as I replied, "I'm Charlotte, it's nice to meet you." Emmett looked like he was about to say something else, but something over my shoulder caught his gaze and he decided not to. Instead, he just gave me one final nod and smile, then ran off after his ball. My mouth pulled down in a frown as I tried to figure out what I did to wreck such a small social interaction. Two shadows falling over me answered my question. I turned around to see Oliver and Archer standing shoulder to shoulder and glaring at Emmett as he ran away. "Gosh, what has their panties in a twist? Are you okay, Lottie? That idiot almost hit you." Oliver glared harder at Emmett's retreating back. After assuring him that I was perfectly fine, we walked back to our parents to have our picnic. The rest of the evening passed by nicely, with all of us lounging on the grass for a while before the Johnsons left to get Archer settled in the house he shared with his teammates. My family and I walked slowly back to the truck with my mom and dad both having one arm wrapped around me. I tried to keep my emotions in check so that my family could leave in peace knowing that I was going to be okay. I don't think anyone really trusted my brave face, but we were all able to say goodbye with little to no dramatics. Just long hugs and promises to text and call often. I took a deep breath, standing in front of the dorms, as I watched my family drive away. I couldn't help but feel like this was a momentous occasion. I was alone, independent, whether I liked it or not, and about to start a new chapter in my life. As always, feedback is very welcome. If you enjoyed this chapter, please vote or comment. Smile. EIM.